stopped loving me. The man who carried a television past his wife's sick room door wanted me to know he never stopped loving me. After 2 weeks of silence from my end, Dominic showed up at my door. He looked thinner, older around the eyes. He was holding flowers, lilies, my favorites. The fact that he remembered what kind of flowers I liked while forgetting what kind of vows he made almost impressed me with its selective memory. I didn't invite him in. I stood in the doorway with one hand on the frame and looked at him. He said he knew I was angry. He said he deserved it. He said he had spent the last year and a half hating himself for what he did. He said he went to therapy. He said his therapist helped him understand that he had an avoidance response to trauma and that the diagnosis triggered a fight or flight reaction, and he chose flight. He had vocabulary for it now, clinical terms. He had rehearsed this speech. I could tell because his eyes kept drifting up and to the left, the way they always did when he was reciting something from memory. He said he wanted to try again. He said he knew the divorce was finalized, but that people remarried all the time. He said we could start over. He said he was different now. He said he understood what he had done, and he would spend the rest of his life making it up to me. He said he had already looked into it. He said remarriage after divorce was more common than people thought. He said he had talked to his therapist about it, and his therapist said it was possible if both people were willing. He said he had even found a couples counselor who specialized in relationships recovering from major life events. He had a name and a phone number written on a card in his back pocket. He pulled it out and held it toward me like it was proof that he was serious. I didn't take it. He kept holding it between us. The card shook slightly in his fingers. He said he had also been going to a support group for people who failed their partners during medical crises. He said there was a whole community of people who had done what he did. He said knowing he wasn't alone in it helped him understand his behavior. I almost asked him if there was a support group for the partners who got abandoned, but I didn't because it wasn't worth the energy. I let him finish. Every word. I didn't interrupt once. When he was done, I asked him one question. I asked him what he did on March 14th. He blinked. He said he didn't know. He said he didn't remember what was special about March 14th. I told him March 14th was my 4th chemo session. The bad one. The one where they had to adjust the dosage because my body was rejecting the treatment. The one where Colette held my hair back in the hospital bathroom even though most of it was already gone. I told him March 14th was the day I signed the divorce papers he sent me. I told him that while I was in a hospital gown with an IV in my arm trying to hold a pen steady enough to end my own marriage, he was at a restaurant called Ventura on the west side of town having dinner with a woman named Brooke Calloway. He went white. I told him I knew because Colette's friend saw them. She didn't say anything at the time because I was too sick, and everyone had agreed not to add to my stress. But after I finished treatment and started getting stronger, Colette sat me down and told me everything, not just the one dinner. Brooke Calloway was a paralegal at a firm 3 blocks from Dominic's office. She was 31 years old. She had long brown hair and ran half marathons and posted pictures of her meals on Instagram. I knew all of this because after Colette told me, I looked her up. I'm not proud of that, but I did it anyway. I found her profile and scrolled through months of photos and found what I was looking for. A picture posted 5 weeks after my diagnosis. A selfie at a wine bar. In the reflection of the window behind her, sitting across the table with his hand on her arm, was my husband. He was smiling. The timestamp on the photo was 8:47 p.m. on the night Dominic had texted me saying he was working late and couldn't bring me the heating pad I asked for because my bones ached so bad from the chemo that I couldn't sleep. I showed Colette the photo. She zoomed in. She sat back in her chair and pressed her hands against her face and didn't speak for a full minute. Then she looked at me and said, "What do you want to do?" I said I wanted to get better first, and I did. But while I was getting better, I kept looking. I found more. I went through our old cell phone records that were still accessible through the family plan Dominic hadn't bothered to cancel. I found 347 text messages between his number and a number I didn't recognize between the date of my diagnosis and the date our divorce was finalized.